Increase power and toughness.
You know, if it goes to show, like, ain't that a bitch? Is that I finally have a nice juicy target for my removal, but I ain't drawing no removal right now.
One.
I think Inventors is just outmatched by the sheer speed that you can get these heavy drops at. You were ahead of the ramp +1 by turn 3, and then that kept going.
All right. Next, I'm going to tap the Oran Reef Fastfoot in order to give my Twins Elite, Elf Warrior, and Sylvan Advocate an additional 1/1 counter.
Mm-hmm. So that means next turn I am basically boned because I would have to chump my entire attacking force just to not die.
All right. So, I'm going to attack with my Jagged Scar Archers and my Dwin Glintleaf Dane. Yeah, just those two.
Are you sure you don't want to swing with the Elvish Mystic too?
Yes, I'm sure I don't want to swing with the Elvish Mystic too.
You can get a life point out of it.
I could get a life point out of it.
Okay, so you're swinging at me for of course it's game you're going for. So Pia and what's her name are gonna block that. I'm gonna attach it because they just want to hug. These are huggers. These are lovers. So they're gonna hug your 8/8, and then I'm going to take the remaining 3 damage.
God damn it. How do I unattach, or do you have to do it?
Unattach. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so they're dead, and I take 3 damage, which brings me down to 8. And you also gain 2 life points, which you already got.
Gained my 2 life.
Very good.
And with that, I will end.
Well, darn it. Ain't this a bitch? I am outmanned, I am outpowered, and I am outplayed because I am still just getting my development going. So that's going to give me 1 additional life point. No, I'm just dead because you're going to swing at me for the nuts next turn. And all I got is just, a little... I mean, granted, like, I did have the cards I needed. I didn't necessarily have to have them die, but then again, I could have also been down to just 1. I don't think 2 damage... I'm sorry, fellas. I don't think 2 damage to any target by sacrificing an artifact would have made much of a difference by this point, now would it? So I am going to swing at you for as much as I can in order to not make this a complete blowout, which it is. I'm going to pay 3. And I'm going to finally cast that Dark Steel plate that I've been hanging on to.
Hey, you can equip it to one of your Thopters.
And I can because I do have the mana I need to immediately attach it. So now this Thopter right here is a 1/1 with flying and indestructible. Okay. And with my 1/1 flying / indestructible, it's going to join 3 of its buddies and have at you for 4.
All right, I'll block one of the not indestructible Thopters.
Okay, so the not indestructible block Thopter is dead, and you take 3 damage.
I took 3.
Okay. All right, so with that, I'm going to end my turn.
All right, then.
You better swing with Elvish Mystic. Cast your sorcery. Cast your sorcery that says that creatures you control gain whatever, and then swing with everything. That's what I would do in this situation.
Well, first I'm going to put down a Tranquil Thicket, meaning that my Sylvan Advocate finally has 6 lands out.
Nice. So that means that all your dudes get +2/+2.
No, just my Advocate and land critters.
Land critters. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There ain't no land critters this game. It's got other shit going on.
All right, and then I don't think I've got 7, do I? No, I've only got 6. Damn. I wanted to cast that.
We all had things we wanted to cast, Mr. Gurdett.
Yes, and then I decided to swing out for 8 billion damage.
4, 5, 6, 7. Well, you attack with 7 total creatures, so during before the damage is dealt, you have to give yourself life. State-based actions, okay? Triggered events. I have no blockers, which means I can't declare blockers, so the total damage is 2, 8, 10, 13, 15, 19, 22, 29. No, 28. 28 damage is dealt, which brings me down to negative 19. We've done it.
We showed off the dual decks, or at least the last one.
I mean, I guess we learned a very important lesson, boys and girls, is Ramp, early game heavy drops, very important, and synergy. Yeah, and I mean there is synergy in Inventors too, but that's based on like technique and being cool and like not only jumping out from nowhere but also like landing a jump kick on your opponent. But instead, what we have here is just kind of like the beginning of The Hobbit, where first, two dwarves show up out of nowhere, and then another two come in, and then another two come in.
That was the plot for Bayorn in the original book. I want to show off a couple of other things that I didn't actually get to show off whilst we were playing.
Oh, of course, because a lot of the cards that occurred between these two decks oftentimes occurred as singles. So there was a very good chance we were not about to draw some of these very particular cards that we are about to show you en masse. Here we go. Shrapnel Blast. Galvanic Blast. Kiss My Ass. Barrage Ogre.
And I think that's everything that... I didn't actually get to play Azuri either. Okay, so this deck very much is, a relatively rough elf shell from what would be, either Pauper or Legacy formats. Lots of reprints for staple elf cards.
Lots of
like
reprints,
Elvish Archdruid.
Elvish Mystic.
And Elvish Mystic, yes, but Elvish Mystic is a functional reprint of Llanowar Elves.
Just no set will just go without that one drop that will give you one green. It just can't be done.
No, we have had plenty of... Wizards have had plenty of time to ruminate on the one-drop mana rock, and they have decided since that a one-drop is no longer enough for a mana rock. It has to be at least two.
Right.
And I only somewhat agree with that, to be perfectly honest. There's your Darksteel Citadel, probably the most expensive thing in here aside from mere Battlesphere.
No, the Temple of Epiphany would probably be the most expensive thing in here, actually.
Dude, temples aren't that expensive, especially since we just had to revisit Theros.
They're still... all right, they are reprinted, which means the price came down, but god damn it, how demand... Especially as a comment on the current market, as of this recording, that prices are going back up for a lot of niche cards like Temple of Epiphany for like Commander or just general deck building, because god damn it, Scry 1 doesn't matter if it enters the battlefield tab. You can have the game right there just by controlling your top deck.
Yeah. The thing that I did actually really like about the Inventors deck was the fact that although it has less in total lands, it supplements those with both mana rocks and these stupidly expensive artifact lands.
Yeah, like for example, here are a lot of the cards that missed play are the one-drop artifacts, and I thought that was kind of a disappointment. Pyrite Spellbomb, the Inventor's Goggles, which is a great card to get out on turn 1. If turn 3 you're going to be dropping your what's his name, the Gyropur Artificer. All the Artificers usually have the ability of incidentally creating Thopter tokens, but the Inventor Goggles automatically attaches itself to whichever Artificer has just entered the battlefield as you see fit. And as we had explored in previous explorations, equipments that automatically attach themselves to creatures usually are pretty important.
Yep.
And then there's the Voyager Staff, another one-drop that... Yeah, and I keep bringing up the one-drops because the early game action is very important, because this is a race. Like, I'm trying to use flying vehicles a la, the Wright brothers, just to keep up with the ancient growth of the elves, which is just being a turn early can be devastating in the long run, I found during this matchup to matchup. Although, I don't know how many people do you think would pick up these two sets and butt heads?
They're actually really friendly for casual players, and if you're an old time player and you want to get someone into Magic, the Duel decks and Commander deck series are actually great ways to introduce Magic and a lot of its key concepts to new players. That's what these products are for. The upcoming interested but cautious newbies.
Yeah.
That's effectively how we got how I got into both Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon was with starter decks.
Oh yeah,
and
totally.
And structure decks.
Yep. Yu-Gi versus Kaiba. Yep, I remember that was It was a long ass time ago.
Yep.
So, and I could see that there were some intricacies in how these decks were meant to interact. I think that like my removal was designed to get rid of the blanket like effect givers, like your legendary that gives all your elves abilities, your card that gives itself and land creatures more power if you have more lands. That was my game, as well as just keeping my numbers up and maybe not chumping so often. But being that you won the game, Mr. Gurdat, you beat me 2-0. How did you think Inventors was going to have its way with the elves, if possible?
Very specifically, I thought you were going to try and rush out Mere Battlesphere.
But
Like,
Mere
that's-
Battlesphere is a fucking 7-drop. Hover that mouse, if you please, over the Mere
Yes.
Battlesphere. It is effective, but it is fucking expensive. And then, coupled with the land deficiency that I have, again, I'm only running 20 lands, and with Phyrexia's Core, here it is, that not all these lands even give you the mana type you might need. Even if you have the card that discounts your artifact cost, you still have to produce 6 mana in order to put it out, and it's not like I have a Soul Ring or something that's going to help me jump the gap sometimes. You're basically just drawing cards, maybe, scrying, but that's it.
But your end game is actually, well, honestly, I don't know. I think your end game is better than mine because of Thopter Assembly and Mere Battlesphere. That said, I'm not entirely sure how one actually gets to the end game with the Inventor set, because it's red blue, which when combined are technically aggro flight colors. So,
Still though, you're looking at like turn 5 is when Inventors that's I think just on that statement right there as a comparison to how early Elves can get off. Inventors gets a thumbs up at turn 5. Elves gets a thumbs up by turn 4. Enough said.
all right. So, would you be willing to actually pick these up and try and get someone into game into Magic using these?
Yeah, sure, whatever. There are a lot of really powerful cards in this set. I think that honestly, people want to pick these up so they can harvest the Mere Battlesphere, of course. So, but as an aside for other people whose interests are different and maybe like the multiplayer experience and don't mind that the decks are fixed. Yeah, totally. I thought I had a good time because I know that there's a game here. I hope that people have fun discovering it.
You don't get a Lord card at all, do you?
Well, what's a Lord?
If you look at my Elvish Archdruid, other elf creatures you control get +1/+1. Usually, there would be a tribal Lord card, which gives all. Like for you, it's supposed to be either it's not Steel Overseer. Steel Overseer is the one that gives 1/1 counters.
I don't think I do. I think I'm just supposed to overwhelm you with sheer numbers. I mean, look at all the cards that just produce Thopters. The Thopter Assembly gives you 5 Thopters. Foundry of the Consuls gives you 2 Thopters. The Whirler Rogue gives you 2 Thopters. Like, that's supposed to be like get as much bang for your buck. Also using the Voyager Staff in order to flicker one of the Artificers so that you can get even more Thopters. Yeah, that is a thing that I discovered a little late. But again, I think that with your Elvish Mystic, you got a lot. You get the Elvish Aberration, yeah, and then even if you don't have it, you can also Forest Cycle it. That is good. See, this I would pick Elves all day long for my Elves versus Inventors matchup.
All right. Well, this has been us exploring Elves versus Inventors, the Dual Deck Saga, which is, again, the end of the Dual Deck Saga. Tune in next time for Cloud to pick out our next set.
Yes. Maybe it will be another exploration of the sets we've been going over. Maybe it will be another structure deck matchup. We will see.
Be safe, everybody.
Peace.